going on, everyone? Welcome back to our 60-day challenge, Building a Life of Change. So we are coming into wrapping up why do we struggle? We've talked about the excuses we put out there, right? That we say why we can't do certain things or why we can't change. We've talked about negativity and how that influences our desire to change. And then we've also talked about being anxious or being concerned about change and how to do that and how we can manage that. While we're wrapping this up, we're going to help find a way to eliminate some excuses right now. We're going to figure out a way to help drive off that negativity and how we're going to be less anxious about change. And it may not make sense to you right now, but I promise you it's going to in the later videos. We're going to talk about time. One of the biggest excuses I'm telling you that I hear and I have made is that I don't have enough time. And I've come to this realization. There are tons of successful people. There are tons of small business owners. There are numerous people who have been in your same shoes, who have had big dreams, who've wanted to have great change in their life. They have the same 24 hours in a day as you do, and they were still able to do it. I'm hoping that doesn't sound harsh, but that's the truth. And I had to come to that same realization that there are an insurmountable number of people who are seeing success, seeing change in their life, and they're doing the same 24 hours in a day that I have. So when I was doing this, again, at the early onset of this year, I did this similar activity. I, again, take no credit. This is something I gained from other people and that I saw. So we're going to talk about time, but what we're really going to do is we're going to look at our time. How are we spending our time? So this is what I want you to do. Pull up the website if you can, or if you were able to print the document from yesterday, pull that down. Or if you want to draw it, I'll tell you how to draw it. I want you to make a big circle. All right. And then you're going to cut this circle down this way, and then 2 X's. And you're going to divide it up. So the way I have it on the website through that document, you have 12 a.m. at the top. All right, then you just go around. Then 3 a.m., 6 a.m., 9 a.m., 12 p.m. at the bottom, 3 p.m., 6 p.m., 9 p.m. And what I also recommend is then you tick out it by hour. So, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tick it out by hour. Because that's going to be the best way to measure it. I will try to find mine so I can show you what I did. What I want you to do is document your time on an average day. Okay, I'm not talking, so I know for me, my days are very different depending on what's going on. Like Monday we have soccer practice, and then Saturdays, of course, are soccer games. So my days are a little different, but on an average, how you spend your time. I'm going to get mine. This is very similar to how this is modeled on the website. This is, again, not my idea. This was someone else. What I was doing was documenting my time, okay? And that's what you're gonna do. So I want you to, first I document sleep. All right, so from about 9:30 to, at that time I was getting up at 4, which did not stick very long. From that time to that time, I was sleeping. So document how long you're sleeping. All right, then I had a morning routine, which I've written out. We'll talk about that later. So I have all these things I get done. And then from, just say 7, because I get to work about 8 till 4:15 is when I work. Okay, so there's all that. And then what I did was I looked at about 5 o'clock to 9:30 was all the space that I couldn't really articulate what I did or what I do on average. I want you to do the same. Go through, map out, okay, your sleep. You obviously know when you sleep. What do you do in the mornings? Get more specific than what I did. Map out, you have breakfast from, let's say you get up at 7. You have breakfast from 7 to 7:30, getting ready, getting dressed, whatever, 7:30 to 8, you're driving to work. 8 o'clock, you start your day at work, and then what do you do in your evening? So map that out. Then what you're gonna do, and again, that same thing, okay? I want you to look at the next sheet. It says, where does the time go? So what do you see when you look at your time clock? So do that right now. Pause and do the time clock. What do you see? Be honest, okay? So then go to the next page, and we're going to now detail out where our time is going. So for example, for the categories, sleep, how many hours do you sleep? So when I was doing this, I had 6 hours because at that time I was going to bed at 10 10:30, getting up at 4 when I did this a long time ago, but that's all changed now. I go to bed earlier. So at 6 hours, that's 7 days a week, that's 42 hours. My work hours are about 7.5. So I did that, that's 5 days a week. So that would be the same. So if your work is whatever times, so if it's 7 hours a week times 7, write that out. And then, okay, I have errands or chore. You can obviously scratch these things out and write in whatever you want. I'm just giving you some examples of different activities. So the idea is you're documenting the various activities you do on an average day. What are you doing? So with sleep, you may be working. Are you doing errands, chores? Like, are you cleaning the house? TV time. All right, I have this on here because I want you to be honest with yourself about your TV time and your phone time. So how much time on average a day are you spending on TV? How much time are you spending on your phone? And I'm meaning a whole day, from the moment you get up to the moment you go to bed, how much time? Some categories I had on mine, so you have some space to write 3 other things, but if you want to add more, print the page again and just add more things. So as many activities, consistent activities you can think of, put them down. So like for me, I have work, sleep, my morning routine, because that is a huge chunk of my day, cooking and eating, my self-care time, my family time, and then I called it lazy time, which was TV, phone, etc. So if there are other things that you think of, put them in here. Do you go out all the time? Do you hang out with your friends a lot? Like those kinds of things. So write them in. Then what you're going to do is you're going to total. So once you take your sleep hours times 7 days, or however many days you put in there, equals what? So when I did it, 7.5 hours of work, 5 days a week, was 37.5 hours. Sleep, 6 hours, 7 days a week, 42. And again, being 100% honest, okay? Because all of this time you want to know. So you're going to add up the hours at the very bottom. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take 160 hours minus that amount. So when I did it, my hours per week for all those activities was 134 hours. I took 168 minus 134, gave me 34 hours left in a week. That's not including that 2.5 of that lazy time that I'm spending doing absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So really I could take 34 and add the 17.5 hours I had, and I have more time. That's the other thing. So look at your TV time and your phone time and things that you really shouldn't or don't need to spend so much time on. Like maybe you spend an hour on your phone a day. That's not hateful. But if your excuse is constantly, I don't have time to start a small business, I don't have time to spend with my family, I don't have time to have a devotional, whatever change you want to see in your life, I don't have time to read, I don't have time for personal growth, this is going to tell you that you really do. So that's the eliminating of the excuse that you don't have time. You do have time. It's where you're putting your time. When you specifically look at your time and you realize where it's going, it eliminates the excuses in your life. Because the excuse is always, most of the time, I don't have time, or I'm too busy, or right? All the excuses we talked about. Even if your excuse for not having change is finance, well, could you start a small business? Could you work on something to help increase your income? Or is part of one of your activities that you're shopping all the time? There you go. There's like, are you spending your hours shopping or on your phone looking at things? And that'll be a trigger. Looking at your time 100% will show that the excuses live in your time. They live in that place. Once you recognize that, then the negativity and saying to yourself, I really do have time. All that negativity that people have been pouring into you, that you can't do it or you shouldn't do it, or or even the thinking you have that ability to spend the time wisely. And then worrying and being anxious, that you're revealing your time shows what could be causing that. If you're not being productive, I'm telling you, the body and the mind knows when it's not being productive. And it'll do anything it can to push to get some kind of workflow or activity or something in your life. And sometimes that will come through in anxiety. So when I did this exact same thing, again, a while back, the first thing I realized, and I want you to do this for yourself, okay? I didn't put this on here because I want you to think about it and then flip the page over and write it on the back. So when you look at your hours, what's the first thought about your hours spent and your extra time. So this is what I said. I always feel rushed throughout my day, but less time being lazy would add 17 and a half hours to my week. I spend more time on lazy time than family, self-care, or workouts. 17 and a half hours a week and sitting on my phone or binge watching. And there, again, there's nothing wrong with sitting down with your family watching a movie or sitting and watching a show. But if your excuse is constantly you can't change because of time, or you can't change because you don't get a second or whatever, I'm telling you it's not true. And then think of this. So answer that question. What are your first thoughts? The next thing, what can I do with my extra hours? One thing I wrote, straighten up the house, because that gives me anxiety. When I have a messy house, my anxiety is through the roof. But instead of me sitting on the couch and just accepting it is what it is, I can get up and clean. I can tidy a room. I can mop a room. I can vacuum a room a day. It doesn't take an hour. I mean, our house is not very large, so I can't speak to everybody. But I can spend 30 to 45 minutes on a room and it doesn't really eat up any extra time. It eats up my lazy time. I spend more time creating and editing social media content. It's part of the reason why I came up with this whole 60-day challenge, because I stopped spending so much time binge watching and so much time on my phone. And it didn't take me until within the last couple of months to realize that again. So when I went back and reevaluated myself, like I do every 4 months, I noticed this. I went back to this and was like, this is part of my problem. So because I have reimagined my time and re-looked at it, I am now being able to say, holy cow, I can push out this kind of stuff. I can push out this kind of content and help people, or just grow and be creative, which I love doing. Then I also write, I want to do more yoga and more self-care. I want to meditate. I want to have breathing moments. I want to have, just that time to decompress from a work day. And I'm doing that now. I'm able to do that because I've relooked at my time. And then one other thing is have more family time. And I have done that. And that's why I was able to rate myself on the where am I portion of that document. Remember where we evaluated where we are? The one thing with family is I'm doing really good because I now purposefully put down the phone and spend time with my family, especially my 2 children. So that's what I want you to look at. I want you to be honest with yourself. What are your first thoughts when you look at this? And then what could you do with the time? And eliminate the excuse of why you can't change and what makes it hard to change. It's not hard. I'm wanting you to recognize for yourself. You have the time, you have the ability, you have a way to change. You've just got to take the step, and eliminating the excuses and recognizing what you've got to work on and where in your day will drastically help you. If you're spending more time in the mornings running around like a crazy person trying to get it together, maybe you need to reevaluate your sleep. Maybe you need to look at going to bed a little bit earlier so you can get up a little bit earlier so that you're not so stressed and anxious and running around and feeling like you're getting ready to pull your hair out to get everything together. Look at your time and say, instead of sitting down in front of the TV, can I take 15 to 20 extra minutes of my evening and get everything ready for the next day? There's all kinds of ways that this reevaluating your time will help you. And I hope that has today. The next time I see you guys, we will be on to series 5, talking about what holds you back. And I'm ready to continue to dish out some great stuff to help you guys, because it's still helping me, and I've already done this multiple times, and it's still reminding me of where I need to change and how to stick with it. I love you all. I'll see you in a few days. Catch me if I fall.